Hi, everybody. My name is Osvaldo Avila. I'm the Thai Grant Administrator for working for the Higher Education Coordinating Commission. And thank you for viewing my presentation, Digital Divide, Meaningful Connections with Under-Tech Resource Students from Marginalized Backgrounds. For many students, teachers, administrators, and educators, it seemed like overnight we began to live in a scene of the twilight zone in terms of moving from in-person teaching and learning to distance learning due to COVID-19. Unfortunately, the reality is that the negative effects of distance learning has exacerbated existing achievement gaps due to unequal opportunities that vary among students of color and their white peers. And though these students, teachers, and administrators and educators shifted and adapted to teach and support their students remotely quickly, and, then, and though their intentions were meant to be caring and thorough, this type of education delivery format is not the same quality of education one can receive like if they were in the classroom. As educators, we know there is major achievement disparities among minority students of color and low-income students in comparison to their white peers and higher-income students. And COVID-19 came in as the villain of our Twilight Zone episode to increase these gaps and create havoc. The lack of student success that has been highlighted from the studies on the impact of distance learning from this past spring can be attributed to many factors that contributed to the growth of the achievement disparities. And today I will focus on a few key points that aided to growing the disparities among students of color who have been historically marginalized and most likely than their white peers to be under-resourced at many levels, specifically when it comes to access of technology and the digital divide. In this presentation, I will discuss a few barriers that students have to getting online, then provide solutions, and end with cultural perspectives that can lead to effective learning and teaching experiences for students of color with a cultural perspective lens. The online format has increased the potential to have long-term effect on our nation's economy, but more personally damning impacts on the students' growth and educational attainment levels. The disparities among students of color and their white peers will continue to grow due to the inability to be present on a screen for their digital classroom. Teachers, administrators, educators, and business communities must be informed and educated of the growing income disparities that exist and how they impact our youth in our schools and the direct correlation to the students' ability to be online. Studies have shown students of color have higher rates of not being online compared to their white counterparts. Why? Have you asked yourself why can't they just get online or be present and participate? What are your conclusions to those questions? What are your thoughts? I do not have all the answers or resources, but I can provide facts and strategies that can help improve the outcomes for students of color and help close the achievement gaps. If you're on social media, you may have come across the image of two young students who wanted to be online to continue to learn and complete their school homework. But since they did not have internet at home, they were sitting on a curb of a local restaurant to access that Wi-Fi connection. If not, picture this, two elementary students outside of a restaurant to access a Wi-Fi connection with their laptops? That is a damaging and crushing image and a reality to face. Families have transitioned to distance learning, but they all do not have the financial resources to purchase Wi-Fi for their home. This is a cost that is a luxury for them. What will they have to trade for this service? A family's full day's meals? We may not know, but it is important to know that families are going to restaurants, parking lots of businesses, colleges, and other locations just to access Wi-Fi. If they do have access, consider that there may only be one computer for the family with multiple siblings hindering the ability of each student to get online at their specific required time. Another factor to consider that can affect the connection is the bandwidth is with multiple devices. So please be mindful and be considerate of a student situation. We may never know unless we get to know them. Many students of color have family responsibilities that they must tend to before their school. This may be due to the lack of educational capital from their parents or that the family has. The parents may be working and require that the oldest daughter or son, care for the younger siblings, do all the family chores, cooking, cleaning, and having the house ready for when the parents get home, or other responsibilities like going to make payments. Or the parents may have been laid off, and or the student is required to work and provide income for the family. All these scenarios are very real, and one must understand the student's home situation. When a student is online but never turns on their camera, they are being punished because they are not participating. The teacher cannot see their face and see learning reactions or have the ability to feel their engagement. What we may not consider is that the student may not have the opportunity to share the living space. They may be sharing a room with siblings, multiple siblings, and sometimes with multiple families. Maybe they are ashamed to show their living space and do not want to get bullied. Maybe their parents tell them not to show their living space. Consider many factors that contribute to students not turning on their cameras view and why they should not be punished. Many districts and businesses have responded. Lots of educators have too. But the resources that have been identified to help families, the families themselves may not be getting the information. Maybe because of language barriers, or the information gets lost before it gets to the parents. Take the extra time and connect with the family and be ready to provide the information where there is access to low cost or free internet access. Share the information and reach out to them. Have somebody that can speak their language if you do not. Request for the information to be printed in multiple language. Be an advocate for your children, your students, and your communities and your families. Make time to talk to each one of your students in your online classroom. Reach out to them because they most likely are not reaching out to you. Find out if they have their own personal safe device to use and if it's fully functional. Provide resources in case they have tech problems, connecting or with other malfunctions. As I said, connect with your students and their family because they may not be connecting with you. Get to know the student's home situation throughout this period. Make independent plans with the students if needed. Respect their familiar responsibilities, and they will respect your teaching and learning responsibilities. They want to be there. Getting to know your student will also allow you to understand their lives more intimately and reasons why they're not turning on their camera. Be inclusive and supportive of their decisions by understanding stressors of trauma that can impede their achievement. Together, you may be able to find a solution that could work for them to turn on their camera or alternatives to submit a recorded video for an assignment outside of their house or at a specific time that they do feel comfortable and have the ability to turn it on and record themselves. As lifelong learners, we seek out opportunities on how to prepare ourselves and be better equipped to teach, engage, and cultivate our students to be their best. Through a culturally relevant and responsive lens, one can learn and understand how cultural relevant strategies can increase engagement by creating communities of inclusion and establish a social presence with a culturally responsive learning environment in their classroom. Disaggregating data by race and ethnicity allows us to be informed and understand the social and economic hardships that take a big part in this pandemic, which includes housing and employment impacts that minority students of color have and are enduring through this pandemic. Being informed will allow us to serve our most vulnerable students better and begin developing culturally relevant policies and practices that enable us to connect with our students in meaningful ways to assure theirs and your success. One way to build upon our skills as educators is to incorporate culturally responsive teaching practices, in short, CRT. It is defined as a research based approach that makes meaningful connections between what students learn in schools and their cultures, languages, and life experiences. These connections help students access rigorous curriculum, develop higher level academic skills, and see the relevance between what they learn at their school and their lives. Through CRT, we are able to create environments, curriculums, and instructional methods that validate and reflect the diversity, identities, and experiences of all students. Build in learning experiences that allow them to incorporate their culture, their life, their music, art, foods, and families, and celebrate those differences with all the students in the class. This allows students to feel valued and empowered while building cultural competence for all students. Now, we are seeing students as assets through this, building upon their strengths, their talents, and skills, while inspiring them to engage in the learning process of thinking critically and analytically, and more importantly, building bridges and communication to your students, communities, and families. Zaretta Hammond says, by seeking to expand learning capacities of historically marginalized students, you're also focused on building brain power by helping students leverage and grow their existing funds of knowledge. Developing a CRT mindset shift will not occur overnight, but it will require dedication, time, and desire to learn. Through CRT, we will be student ready and prepared in building academic resilient students, contributing to closing the achievement gaps, and allowing us all to be beyond this feeling of a twilight zone that has been around for too long. Again, I want to thank you for taking the time to review this presentation. Please feel free to contact me and have a great day. Thank you.